What's up everyone, welcome back to your 38th PHP tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to stick with the object-oriented PHP aspects of programming, and we're going to be covering something called scopes. Now this was in the last tutorial, you know those keywords that said public, private, and you know that stuff that popped up in blue that we really didn't know what it meant. Well, in this tutorial I'm going to cover pretty much the introduction of what scopes are and why you need them and why they are useful. So anyways, let's go ahead and create a variable like we did before. Actually, the first thing we need to do is make a class. Let's go ahead and make a class, call it Tuna or something like that. If you watch my Java tutorials, I pretty much named every single class Tuna, so hey, might as well stick to it. So let's go ahead and make two different kinds of variables. One of them will be public, and just name this, you know, like fish1, and I will name this fish Stinky. Pretty good name for a fish. And make another variable, but type the keyword private before this one, and just go ahead and name this variable like fish2, and I shall name you something different than Stinky. I shall name you Smelly Goody, because he smells good. Alright, now check this out. At the very basics of scope, another word for scope is pretty much where can you use this variable. So the two main ones I want to go over in this tutorial are public and private. There are a couple of other ones, and those are, well, I won't even tell you guys what those are right now, but for now just know that there's two different types of variables that you can use: a public variable and a private variable. A public variable means you can use this variable anywhere. You can use it in this class, you can use it in this program, you can use it anywhere in your entire program. Now check this out. Whenever you put private before a variable, this means that you are only allowed to use it in this class right here. If you try using this variable out here, it's not going to work. So private means that, you know, it's like this class is a private club and only these variables are invited. But public means that it's public to your entire program pretty much. It's a little different than that, but anyways, let me show you guys an example and maybe you'll understand a little bit better what this means. So anyways, let's go ahead in our body where we can actually echo things out and see them, and go ahead and create an object. I'll name it my object. Oops. So you can clearly see what's going on. And again, in order to create a new object, put new, since we're creating it new, type the name of your class, which mine was Tuna, and we don't put anything in the parentheses for now. Now let's just go ahead and echo out both of these variables and see what happens. Again, like I said, this one should echo fine. My object, which means we're using the Tuna class, and let's go ahead and echo out the variable fish1. And remember, this is the public one, and like I told you, you can use public variables anywhere, so we're good right here. So this should echo out the word Stinky, as long as I didn't have any typos or anything like that. Now let's go ahead and copy this, because I'm lazy to type it, and let's go ahead and try to echo out the variable fish2. But check this out. Since fish2 is private, that means that we're only allowed to use it in this class right here. We're not supposed to be using it way out here in the rest of our program. This fish2 named Smelly Goody, he's only a private member of this class. So let's go ahead and save it. Say, you know what, F PHP rules, we don't care, we're going to try to use it anyways. So let's go ahead and refresh this. Did I refresh it? I hope so. Move it over. Again, I'm not using WAMP or AMP or DAMP or anything like that. So let's go ahead, check this out. Here's what we get. We got Stinky echoed out just fine since it's public. No problems there. But then we tried to echo out this other variable that was private, and we got a whole bunch. Fatal error, cannot access. Oh my god, I think the FBI is going to come and shoot me in the head for trying to do that. Anyways, here's what happens when you try to use private variables outside of your class. It just doesn't work. You get a bunch of death threats from your browser, and it's just not a good result. So anyways, you're saying, alright, so I understand the use of, actually let me do this and a little bit of this and a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Alright, so anyways, you're saying, alright, why wouldn't you just use public variables everywhere then? it just seems like it would be easier instead of getting errors. And aside from that, why would you ever want to use a private variable? Well, these are questions that I'm going to answer in tutorials to come. Pretty much, it's just a safer way to program. And when you're doing data validation, you pretty much always, no, I don't want to say always, for the most part, you typically want to use private variables. So if you're saying, alright, then how can I have a way to access or pretty much to output this name in my program? Because if we have a variable like that and we can't even use it, it's no use. Well, in order, actually, alright, I think I got time to cover it in this tutorial. In order to, let's say you have a private variable and you want to echo it out, what you need to do is you need to build a function that is public, and since this function has access to this variable, let me go ahead and build this and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Remember, anything public can be used outside of this class, aka in our program. So go ahead and write public function, but you have to spell it right, function, and we're just like say my name biatch, but I won't say biatch. My grandma will get mad at me. Alright, anyways, now what we need to do is, the only thing this function is going to do is echo the variable. So remember, anytime we use a variable inside the same class, use the keyword this, which means I'm using stuff from this class. Now put your little arrow to fish2. Now check this out. Since this function is inside this class and this variable can be used anywhere inside this class, this is actually valid. If this function was out here, it would be invalid and give you an error. But since this function is inside this class, it can use any variable it wants, public, private, doesn't matter. So it's kind of like a way of tricking PHP. And since we can't use this variable directly outside the class, we need to make a public function which does have access to this variable, and then we can call this function from outside our class and it'll work just fine. So let's go ahead, and since this is a fatal error, we need to comment it out because fatal is going to crash your program. And now what we want to do is actually, well, I'll type this out. My object, which pretty much means something from that tune class, and use the function say my name. So let me explain this before I actually run it. What this is going to do is first it's going to output, what was his name, Stinky, right there. And then it's going to say, alright, in the tune class, do whatever is in the function say my name. So it's going to go up here, make sure it's public, which it is, and it's going to say, alright, what do you want to do? I want to echo a variable from this class named fish2. So it's going to echo Stinky and Smelly Goody. Let's put a space right there so it looks a little bit neater. So anyways, let's go ahead and save that and run this bad boy. Let me do this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and let's see what we get. Stinky, Smelly Goody. How beautiful is that? So anyways, the point I'm trying to get across in this tutorial is you can only use private functions and private variables inside the class where you created them. But if you make something public, you can pretty much use it anywhere. And again, I didn't really show you how this is useful in this tutorial, but in the upcoming tutorials I'll show you guys why this is a better way to do things sometimes and how it's going to make your life programming a whole lot easier. So for now, just understand the concept of that, and in the tutorials to come you will see why this is actually useful. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I don't know, I have like a minute left to tell you guys what to do. Send me some Christmas presents in the mail. If you would bake me a cake, that would be great. And anyways, just check out my websites and I'll see you guys later.